How many times has this happened to you? For Genji, that Q button can sometimes feel like a respawn button. That being said, time and time again, we see nutty 6-man blades dominate the highlight reels and carry teamfights solo. Blading is a fundamental Genji skill that any inspiring Grandmaster Genji player must learn. GameLeap has you covered with the only Genji Dragonblade guide you'll ever need to start popping off in each and every game you play Genji in. Let's just jump right into it, shall we? Genji's Dragonblade is one of the key reasons to play Genji in the first place. Every character has their power level balanced at different points throughout their kit. However, with Genji, his power level is heavily emphasized through his ultimate. Essentially, Dragonblade is one of the key ways that Genji is forced to impact and actually win teamfights altogether. Needless to say, Genjis who can't get any value through their Dragonblade should honestly probably not be playing the character. That's why we're going to fundamentally break down the damage numbers, fundamental playstyles, and everything else that you need to know in order to have huge Dragonblades in each and every one of your games. Let's first break down some of the damage numbers when it comes to Genji's Dragonblade. Genji's Dragonblade does 120 damage per swing, you get a maximum of 7 swings, and you get a 30% movement buff. This makes it a lot easier for you to chase down enemies who are running away from you when Dragonblading. On top of this, Genji gets an extra dash when activating Dragonblade, so he can do things like dashing up in the air, activating Dragonblade, and then dashing down onto the enemy. Lastly, Genji will get a full amount of shurikens after his Dragonblade's ended, so you don't have to worry about reloading after your Dragonblade is over. Essentially, Dragonblade makes Genji do extremely high burst damage, makes him even more mobile than he already is, and plays into his existing kit. Genji has all the means to protect himself with Reflect, close the gap on enemies with Dash and Wall Run, and sneak in and out of combat doing giant amounts of burst damage that are hard for the enemy to heal through. Now, becoming a Grandmaster Genji player isn't easy, but GameLeap.com has everything you need to become that self-actualized Genji god as quickly as possible. Our Genji section in particular has the most stacked amount of content in the entire site, so for those of you who are serious about mastering the cybernetic Shimada, do yourself a favor and come check us out, and I hope to see you there. Now let's jump right into our first core topic, when to Dragonblade. Now there's a couple important things that you need to think about. Advantage versus disadvantage. Far too many times Genji pull out a blade in a fight that is ultimately lost. In order to get a lot of value with Dragonblade in most teamfights, you want your team to be actively pushing in and creating pressure as well. A Genji that goes in first with Blade and is looked at by every single member of the enemy team can be easily shot, focused down, or CC'd. Having that additional pressure is the best way, and that's why a lot of times go in with Blade as your team engages as well. Now there'll be times when this is not possible and you need to evaluate your advantage versus your disadvantage. How many members of the enemy team are low and who on the enemy team is worth blading? Do they have their cooldowns, and is there any CC that could shut you down? How many slices is it going to take for you to kill anybody, and is it reasonable for you to try for a blade? These are all factors that you need to consider when trying to maximize each and every blade. Holding your blade for a better opportunity is almost always better than trying to force a blade into a disadvantaged situation. Being patient with the blade and using blade to secure you team fights is the best way to use Dragonblade, but far too many times Genji's waste Dragonblade in a lost fight already. Now the last aspect of when to blade is game sense. Is the fight winnable? We've all seen those play the game clips where the fight was seemingly lost, but a Genji Dragonblade hero comes in and gets a 5k clutching the point. How realistic is it for you to actually pull that off? Do you have any amplification like nano or mercy boost in order to actually help you utilize this? Trying to clutch a point with Dragonblade only to die and feed ultimately makes it so you have to build it up again in order to get value. You really need to try to get a feel for the different situations where a Dragonblade can get value out of, and make a plan in your head before you press that Q button. There are multiple things that go into whether or not your blade is successful, including how mechanically competent the enemy is, how aware they are, and how mechanically competent you are at performing your Dragonblade. However, far and away the most important aspect is when pressing that Q button to start your Dragonblade, you need to ask yourself, is this a legitimate reason for me to start my Dragonblade, and what am I actually trying to accomplish? Don't just Dragonblade with the objective to just go onto the enemy team and start doing damage. Find an actual goal and find an actual plan and try to execute that plan with Dragonblade. This leads directly into our next core topic, who to blade. You need to have a target priority list when activating Blade. If the enemy McCree used Flashbang, you want to shut him down before he gets another one off cooldown. If the enemy Widow has line of sight on you, you don't want to Blade directly in front of her so she can easily shoot you. This means these characters become target priorities. Also, you need to be scouting a new target. Before activating every Blade, you need to think about what will be your next target before going on your primary target. Essentially, you need to be thinking multiple steps ahead so that you can easily dash instantly to the next target the second after you kill the first target. The last thing you need to identify is easy prey versus difficult prey. Easy prey are things that have very little counterplay to you if you're close up on them. Think someone like Zen without an ultimate or Widowmaker who isn't paying attention to you at all. These characters are easy primary targets if they already use their movement abilities or don't have any, because they can't easily turn the tables on you and shut you down. Now, difficult prey are things that are not easy to kill or have abilities that can easily shut you down. Think someone like Doomfist, McCree, Ana. These characters all have abilities that can shut Genji down in Blade, so you need to identify what those cooldowns are, either keep track and go in when they don't have them, or add in Genji mechanical mix-ups in order to shut them down. I'll break down Genji mechanical mix-ups in just a second, but first, let's go into our third core topic, how to avoid being shut down. This is indicative of all the things that I talked about before, but you need to know what counters you and keep track of it. Lucio Beat, Transcendence, Graviton, Whole Hog, these are all things that can shut you down easily, and you really need to keep track of it and make a plan in order to play around it. Do you know that Zarya is going to grab you as you try to go in? Maybe you try to debate her and double jump plus dash away in order to make her waste her grab. Maybe you could set up a reflect play on the grab if you know what's coming. There's a lot of different things that you can do as long as you keep track of the abilities that people are trying to counter you with and make a game plan with Genji's Blade. On top of that, another aspect about avoiding being shut down is how fast are you. The quicker you are with Dragonblade, the more overall mistakes you can actually make. This is a weird concept to understand, but think about this example. Think about the extremely fast blading streamers that you see, Necros and Cavalry. While their blades aren't necessarily the smartest, they're extremely fast, and it makes it really hard for the enemy team to punish them. There's a ratio of lethality to pressure. The more lethal you are, the more pressure you put on the enemy team to perform. A hyper-aggressive Genji that is very quick is that much harder to punish. That being said, it's not worth increasing your speed until the fundamental other aspects of your blading is already there. Work on every single one of these other aspects first, and then slowly increase your speed to comfortable levels, because the quicker you get, the more lethal you'll be, but you don't want to let go of your fundamentals in the process. Now we're jumping right back into the Genji mechanical mix-ups that I talked about before that can help you take down difficult prey that have specific cooldowns or abilities that can shut you down again and again. There are a number of Genji mechanical mix-ups, but let's just jump in and break down some of the big ones right here. Now the first one we have to go over is the simple reflect and then animation cancel dash. In this way, as a Genji comes down, he reflects the Ana's abilities such as her sleep dart or nade, and then he can easily animation cancel it with his dash or go into his combo. You can do this against many characters, but essentially what you want to do every time is reflect, and you can animation cancel it with your dash. Keep in mind that you get another dash every time you Dragon Blade, so if you dash up and blade, you'll get another dash to go into your combo. Now moving on to tip number 2, this one's fundamentally different. This is a jump fade. You do this in order to save your reflect so you can use it later on in the combo. Essentially what you want to do here is you want to dash from the high ground without using your jump and jump right before you get to the enemy. You can easily use this to bait things like flashbang or sleep dart. Essentially this allows Genji to mix up and dodge enemy abilities, but also hold on to reflex so you can use it at different points of the combo later on. Combining these two types of Dragon Blading mix-ups together can make you a master blader, making it really hard for the enemy team to punish you mid-Dragon Blade. For the next mix-up, what this one is a dash through the enemy, reflect, and wall run to cancel your reflect into the rest of the combo. You wall run to cancel your reflect so you can start slashing immediately and go right into dealing damage. Now we're going to run through 2 specific examples in slow-mo to help you get an idea of some of the things you need to think about when trying to get these Dragon Blades off. That being said, pound for pound, the best way to get more consistent Dragon Blades is going to GameLeap.com. GameLeap.com has the best Genji guides you'll find anywhere. We have high-quality, in-depth VOD reviews created by Grandmaster players to help you become that Genji god as quickly as possible. Our Genji guide in particular is extremely stacked, so if you want to master Genji as quickly as possible, do yourself a favor and come check us out in the links here. Now for this first blade, this comes out of circumstance. This is not a flashy blade by any means, but it gets the job done, and I execute some interesting strategies throughout this blade. Now when dashing back in here because of my immortality field, why do you think that I bladed directly in front of the Lucio? You might be saying, you know the Lucio has boop, so why would you Dragon Blade directly in front of him? The important thing to understand here is 1, I'm not threatened by the Lucio, and 2, if I get extremely close to him, the Lucio is forced to boot me away. Lastly, the final important straw here is after I activate my Dragon Blade, I get another dash in order to pursue this Lucio. Essentially, while he can boot me away, I get my dash to reclose the distance, but he's pressured to use the boot because I could easily burst him down if he doesn't get some distance between me and him. Now the follow-up is easy. I chase down this Lucio because I want to confirm this kill as quickly as possible. After that, I go back to the main objective because I see that it's contested, and I easily find an Ashe, and then get another follow-up on the Ana. I see far too many Genjis activate Blade, dash into a Lucio, and get booped away, unable to secure any value. If you close the distance first and activate your Dragon Blade in front of the Lucio, he's pressured to boop you away, then you can chase him down with the extra dash you gain. Now for the next Dragon Blade, it's another Dragon Blade of Circumstance. The important thing with Genji is when blading without something like Nano Blade or a combo, you need to get really crafty and count cooldowns. I see that the McCree wasted flash here, so I use it as an opportunity to easily try to secure some kills on him and the Ana. I slash animation cancel dash to easily burst these two, then I go fishing for more. While I couldn't play around the Lucio boop here, I allowed myself to get 2 kills and then follow up onto the Orisa. The important thing to understand about each and every Dragon Blade is you won't be prepared for every single circumstance that will come up mid-blade. What you need to be able to do is be adaptable and try to develop consistent fundamentals so that each and every Dragon Blade becomes more and more successful. While both these Dragon Blade examples weren't flashy, I identified an opportunity and I took it for guaranteed value. Not every blade is going to be those 5-6k blades, but consistent 2 to 3 man Dragon Blades where you get kills and don't die can win you tons of games overall on Genji. Anyways, I hope this Dragon Blade guide has been extremely helpful for you. Any questions, please leave them in the comments down below, as well as any other in-depth concept guides that you want me to make. I would love to make them. Anyways, I'm Coach Mills, and until next time.